Happy October, everybody. This is my favorite month of the year for many reasons, largely in part because my birthday is this month. I will be 29 in a couple of weeks, which feels crazy. But it's also, of course, spooky season. Now, I have personally been celebrating spooky season since mid-August, but this is when everybody gets really hyped for this season, and it brings me so much joy to see everyone so excited about all of the scary movies and cozy stories and all the things that make this time of year so wonderful. Unfortunately for me, I am starting off my favorite time of the year with a cold, so pardon the groggy, congested voice, but I'm doing my best. I do have a fairly large number of book club reads and challenges and that kind of thing that I'm going to try and gear to be as spooky as possible, and everything else after that is going to be the same list of spooky books that I mentioned in September's TBR. I'm not going to go over all of them because there is just far too many of them. So let's get into the books that I'm planning on reading first for challenges and book clubs, starting with the buzzword challenges. So the regular buzzword challenge is violent words in the title. There are two that I'm choosing between, one of them being Vengeful by VE Schwab. No, I still haven't read this. This is, I think, the 6th month in a row that it's going on the TBR. This is embarrassing and I need to just read this book at this point in time. My other option for this prompt is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. I reread A Dowry in Blood almost every year, but for some reason I have yet to get to this book. So one of these two books will be read for this challenge. The Buzzword Covers challenge is for a book with a weapon on the cover, and again I have a few options, but I think I'm going to go with Crota by Owl Goingback, which is a indigenous horror about people hunting a mythical beast. It sounds creepy as hell, and it has an arrow on the cover, so perfect for this challenge. The in-person book club that I'm part of is going to be reading The Entanglement of Rival Wizards by Sara Raasch. I love this author so much, so I'm very excited to be reading this book. I think it's going to be incredible if it's anything like their other books. I've only read the series from them. What's it called? The first book is The Nightmare Before Christmas. I've read those two books so far, but I haven't read anything else from this author yet, so I'm very excited to read more from them and see what else they can do. And the description says, Allie Hazelwood meets Dungeons and Dragons in this enemies to lovers fantasy academia rom-com, where rival grad student wizards are forced to work together without killing or falling for each other. I love a good rivals to lovers, especially when it's academic rivals. I think that's just so much fun, and the tension is always fantastic. So I think I'm going to love this one. Cozy Quill Book Club is going to be reading The Ghosts of Rose Hill by R.M. Romero, which I'd never heard of before. I'm assuming it's about ghosts, and given the book club, I'm going to also assume that it's cozy. Goodreads says it's a brilliantly original tale for fans of The Bear and the Nightingale and the Hazelwood, about embracing your power, facing your monsters, and loving deeply enough to transcend a century. That sounds lovely. I love both of those comp titles, especially The Bear and the Nightingale, so this sounds like it'll be right up my alley. I'm not going to read the entire synopsis, I'm just going to go into it fairly blind and hope for the best. For some content I'm planning for this month, I'm going to be starting a vlog where I retry books that I previously DNF'd. I have no idea how long this vlog will take me to do, probably a good couple of months, but given that I really want to focus on some more creepy, atmospheric reads right now, I really want to retry The Woods All Black by Mandelo. When I tried this book the first time, there was no audiobook for it yet, and that was my thing, is that I felt like I would really love this book if I could read it over audio, and now there is finally an audiobook, and I have it out from Libby, so I'll for sure be reading this one shortly and starting off this vlog. And then for Backlist Bash, I started September's Backlist Bash super late. It was like literally the last week of the month, but I only had 4 books left that were added to my TBR in 2020, so I didn't want to like make it a whole new episode, so I'm just going to continue last month's episode into this month and just combine the two together. And as of filming right now, I only have 2 books left to read for that video, and that'll be The Near Witch by VE Schwab, as well as Wishes Steeped in Gold by Ciannon Smart. This one especially is embarrassing because this is my favorite author. I've read the majority of their books so far, and I've started this book like 3 different times, but just kept getting sidetracked by other things, and so I've never finished it. But it's finally time. I'm starting this one probably next, actually. It is finally getting read, and I'm so excited about it. For some sequels that I'm planning on getting to, we already know the ones that I'm gonna be adding. As I mentioned before, Vengeful by VE Schwab, but also Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor and The Faithless Hawk by Margaret Owen. Last month was not the month, but this month Probably won't be either, but I'm gonna be hopeful. This is what sucks about being a seasonal reader when it comes to books that don't really have a specific season, is that it never feels like the right time to get to them. So hopefully October. Probably not, but I'm putting it on here anyways to try and hold myself accountable. Other sequels that I actually am planning on hopefully getting to. I'd like to read the second book in the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, which will be The Vampire Lestat. I read the first book about a year ago, and I've been wanting to continue on the series, but the first book was so dense and took me so long to read it that I've been kind of scared to continue it. But what better time than October? And because the series is so long, I could just make it a yearly tradition where every year in October I read the next book in the series. That would be a 12-year project, but hey, I could do it. More VE Schwab, but I would also like to get to the Unbound, which is book 2 in the Dark Vault series. This is a ghosty YA paranormal fantasy about a girl who's able to cross the veil into the space between the living and the dead, where she helps ghosts get back to the archive, which is where their souls go to rest. But sometimes they escape, and that's where she comes in. This is definitely a good time of year to finish out this duology, so fingers crossed I actually get to it. I would also like to get to Our Dark Descent by Hayley Dennings, I think is the name. This is the sequel to Our Vicious Fate, which I read last year and liked it. I didn't love it, but I did like it enough to at least continue the series. It was a fun, sapphic vampire story. It was very dramatic, lots of fight scenes, cool stuff going on. The first book was a bit of a disappointment, but I did see good potential to it, so I think the sequel might be better. Last up for the sequels, I would like to get to Rolling in the Deep by Mira. It's a companion to Into the Drowning Deep, which I read a couple of months ago and loved it. It was perfectly scary. The monsters were creepy as fuck, the atmosphere was fantastic, and I think this one would be perfect for this time of year. From the library right now, yet more VE Schwab. So I currently have out The Steel Prince, which is the first book in the Shades of Magic graphic novel series. I didn't even know that this was a thing until I think earlier this year. I was wandering through a bookstore and just happened to see the box set for this and lost my mind. I really wish that I'd bought it, but when I saw it in the bookstore, I was in Toronto for a concert and I didn't have a bag with me, so I didn't want to have to carry it around at a concert, and I haven't seen it at a bookstore in my city since then. But at least I found it at the library. Over audio from Libby, I currently have out Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. This is definitely not a spooky season read, but my library hold came in and I am not going to pass this up. This is a nonfiction about TB and how everything in the world can somehow relate back to that. I've heard this is very thought-provoking and beautiful and sad, and I love John Green, so I can't wait to read it. And it's also narrated by John Green, which just sounds even better. I also have out over audio Your Favorite Scary Movie by Ashley Cullins. This is another nonfiction about the Scream franchise and how it has shaped the horror genre. I'm a big fan of the Scream franchise, so it'd be great to learn more about it and learn how it's influenced the slasher genre over the years. And the rest of the ones that I want to read for this month is basically just my entire horror shelf on Goodreads. Again, I'm not going over the list because it is extensive. Very, very long list, so I'm not going over all of those right now. But if you do want to see an example of some of them, check out September's TBR, where I go over at least a handful of them. The one that I will mention I'm for sure going to be reading is Under the Fang by Robert R. McCammon. This is an anthology of authors that I'd never heard of before, but I found this book in a used bookstore over the summer, and I've been waiting for October to read it, so this is a for sure going to be read this month. But yeah, that is the TBR for October. As always, the TBR is subject to change at any whim. I'm very much a mood reader, and while I love having some kind of structure, no TBR is going to stop me from reading whatever I feel like, basically. But let me know what you're planning on reading this month. I would love to hear all of your spooky season plans, and if you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them as well. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next video.